Sara Snow with another refreshed episode. Now this one is super quick to make and also super quick to watch, and it's just in time for Memorial Day. This is a mayonnaise-free potato salad. Okay, to make this super easy recipe, all you do is cut up 1.5 pounds of potatoes. Now these could be new potatoes, or I'm using sort of baby red skin potatoes here. I'm cutting them into quarters or eighths depending on the size, and I'm leaving the skins on. As soon as I have these chopped, I'm going to throw them in my pot of already boiling very salted water and let them cook until they're soft. Okay, so after my potatoes cooked for about 10 minutes until they were nice and soft, I drained them and they're over in the sink cooling off right now. And now I'm making my dressing. I'm starting with 3 tablespoons of a nice seedy mustard. I'm going to add to that a tablespoon of olive oil and also a 1/2 cup of white wine. You want something relatively dry, and of course, whatever wine it is, it should be good enough that you want to drink a little bit of it too, especially with that holiday approaching. Come on. So cheers. Now we need a teaspoon of salt, and finally a tablespoon of freshly chopped thyme. Of course, if you don't have any fresh thyme on hand, you can use a dried thyme, and you'll want to reduce it to about a teaspoon instead. Now here's a little tip. With my potatoes back there, I knew I needed 1.5 pounds for this recipe, but I cooked a little bit extra, and I already have those pulled aside here so that I can feed those to my little girls with dinner tonight. I'll toss those with a little bit of butter and feed those to them. So I'm always thinking a meal or two ahead of what I'm cooking right now. And that's it for the dressing. Super easy. We have the thyme, the salt, the seed mustard, a little olive oil, and some white wine. I'm going to grab my potatoes and start tossing it together. I'm adding a can of garbanzo beans. Of course, if you had thought ahead of time, you would have made garbanzo beans from fresh dried beans and cooked them yourself, but you didn't think that far ahead. And in that case, a can of beans is completely fine. Now I'm tossing in this dressing. That looks beautiful, but not quite done. We need some color in there. So I'm going to add some peppers. Now generally I do 1 small red pepper, but because I have red and yellow peppers on hand, I'm going to use a little bit of each. We'll toss those peppers in there, and now this will really start to look pretty. Now the final thing I need are 2 scallions. I'm going to remove the outer layer of the scallions and then finely chop up the rest. So I think this is really interesting. Most people think it's the mayonnaise that spoils when you have a tailgate or a Memorial Day party and food is sitting out at the barbecue site all day long. Apparently, people now say it's not actually the mayonnaise, but it's the onions that are the first to go bad. So I don't know if scallions fall into that same category. Perhaps the fact that they grow a little differently and they have some green on them, maybe they don't fall into the same category. But regardless, to be on the safe side, leave the onions off of the condiments platter when you're barbecuing hamburgers. Make sure they all got chopped up. You know how scallions are. They have a tendency to stick together in those roly-polies. And I'm throwing that in my potato salad. And voila, it is done. That's it. It was like less than a dozen ingredients all together. Super quick. You can throw this together in about 10-15 minutes before you head out the door to the barbecue with all your friends, and then you are free to enjoy the rest of the day, just like I'm going to do, my friend.